My first board that I ever had was a balsa board that my dad used to ride in California, like Malibu and like Leo Carrillo and Hollywood by the Sea. And when I was 5, he had that board cut in half and reshaped for me. When I got really into surfing, I really wanted to get a new board, and there was a surf shop here that was near my house, and in that surf shop there was this little board that was a 4.6, and it was a board that Richie Collins had left on a surf trip. And it was the only board I'd ever seen that was small enough for me, like it was made for me. And it was a little 4.6 Lance Collins Wave Tools, and it was a little twin fin, but I used to look at the board like every single week, every time I would go in there, and on Christmas morning it was under the tree. This is one of the boards that Kelly's been riding. I was in Fiji with Kelly last year, and he had one of these little boards, and he asked me to ride it. And I was like, that thing looks like such a hunk of crap. And I rode it, and it went so good. It's such a fun little board. It's super lively, works really great in really tiny waves, and works really good. Actually, I rode this board in like 6 to 8 foot waves in Bali as well. It's super small. I think this one's like a 5.6, but it has like a really unusual rail line, which kind of like allows you to ride a real, like a shorter board, but it doesn't feel short. It has a nice rail line where you can like really draw out your turns and surf with a ton of power on this board, and it won't slide out. It's pretty awesome. This is a tow board I dug out of my boardroom. I really didn't think that I had any tow boards left. This is a little 5.4, 16.5, 1 3/4 thick. So the thing is like just knifey and super thin. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but this board was actually made for Chopo, like really big towing days at Chopo. And that was the last time I rode this board was there. And it would have been about, I think about 8 years ago now. It's so weird seeing these things. There was a time when every really big swell at Chopo, I would fly there to go get whipped in the giant barrels. And it's really, really fun actually, but it just became a zoo. It got so crowded. So this is where a lot of my hunting gear is. I'm a bow hunter. So I got these are all my arrows. Go through quite a few of those because here in Hawaii, there's no hunting season. You can hunt 365 days a year. So this is my bow I've been using all year. It's a Matthews compound bow. So the compound bows, I have like a cam on the top and the bottom. And basically, yeah, draw back and shoot. This is actually pretty crazy. I got an elk, like a 900-pound elk a couple months ago in Utah, and got about 375 pounds of meat off this guy. But I brought the antlers home. My wife likes the antlers. Yeah, we're gonna be eating that elk for probably at least a year and sharing it with all my friends and stuff. And yeah, my family eats a lot of wild game. My wife's really good at cooking it, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we are on Maui, and I'm at my friend Ian Walsh's house. These are all my Jaws boards. We're really close to Jaws, just down the street. So I leave my boards here, stash them all. This is my shortest board I've ever ridden at Jaws. This is a 9.6. It has no stringer. It's a varial foam board. And this board is a new one. I just got it last year. I rode it at the end of the winter. This board felt insane. It up until I got this board, all I ever rode were 10.6s at Jaws. So to ride a 9.6 just mentally is like, for me, it was pretty hard to wrap my head around. You know, when you're out at Jaws, you feel like you're in the middle of the ocean. So anything on the small side of what you're used to just feels like a little toothpick. Cool thing about this board is it really allows me to ride Jaws in a different way than I'm used to. Instead of sitting out the back and kind of coasting into big waves, I'm kind of whipping it under the hood, and you have to take off a little bit later, a little bit steeper, and it allows me to draw a different line. I can bottom turn faster, take a more critical drop, make quicker adjustments in the barrel. I rode this board on the wave that I ended up winning the Big Wave Awards Ride of the Year, which was one of the best waves I've ever caught in my life. One interesting thing is the leashes here. The leashes that I use are all Dakine. It's called a Piahi leash. And you can see the girth. This is just a normal size leash. It's pretty skinny. This is actually, it's not even like the skinniest one, but you can see the difference in the circumference. The Jaws leash has crazy girth. It's like a big hose. These leashes are pretty badass. I've actually never had one of these new ones break. They have this quick release here that you can, if you get in a really gnarly situation, you can just grab this and pull it and this leash will just come off. This part will stay on your ankle, but as a safety, it's a safety device. If you're in a situation where you get pushed up against the rocks and you want to get away from your board, or if you're getting caught inside by a wave that you want to be able to swim through and not have your board kind of pull you out the back, you just grab this thing, it's a little quick release and pop it and you're good to go. Your board's gone. Here we are in Wailua, Hawaii, on the north shore of Oahu, and we're at John Carper's shaping room and shaping facility. This is obviously John Carper. He's been shaping my boards since I was 19, so 25 years.
Yeah, this thing's a 9.3.
So what's the story?
Well, this is a Dakine, just like your other ones, but kind of a little bit, you know, definitely more on the narrow side and more just totally rippable board, you know?
Yeah. This is what I might end up riding on the Eddie Cow if it's not giant.
Well, that's what I was
Like
thinking. This could be the new,
giant.
yeah, the new Eddie board, you know?
I like this right here. You can see that John does like
little
sort of like a beak on the nose of my, especially like my bigger boards. I like to have like a little bit more foam up front to like plow through the chop and create momentum when I'm paddling.
It's called a reverse foil, and when the water comes over it, whenever it goes in the water, because we can't go over everything. You got a 4-foot chop. It's like a wave, and you can't go, you start going bloonga, bloonga, bloonga. This will go through, and every time it goes through, it actually pulls the nose downwards rather than upwards. Even like on the small boards, when you dip them with it, you can actually feel the board just really following its way up. It's kind of a cool thing.
Oh, I like that. I love that color.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You'll see that board, won't you?
Yeah, I love that, dude. This is probably the first airbrush that John made for me that was his idea that I actually liked. To be totally honest, we completely disagree usually on aesthetic stuff. But
Well, it wasn't all my idea. It was your idea and my idea.
said-
And I just
yeah.
took it to another.
I came up with this basic concept of these stripes that I really like. They just look
Stole
real
from some
sharp to
little
me.
kid.
And John was like, yeah, it's all right. I'm gonna add this black stuff in there. And I'm like, no! Because he usually does this stuff and I'm like, ah! But it actually turned out really cool.
This is probably going to be as big as you're going to use from now on, except for your old 10.6s, which are super heavy. But I got a feeling this board here is going to ride one heck of a big wave. This is a lot of board right here, you know?
So you're saying there's no excuses is what you're saying?
I would imagine there's no excuses on this board.